All right, hello and welcome everyone. So we got the hotfix that introduced the new game mode in Warframe. It also introduced a bunch of nerfs that I think are entirely unwarranted, and I don't understand why they're happening, but that's not what this video is about. Today, we're going to talk about the Deep Archimedia and what I think of it, and also what you need to do it, and how the entire thing works, and what I think the meta is going to be going forward. So, first and foremost, you do not talk to this Lloyd in order to start it. This Lloyd handles all of the new disruption stuff related to Dante and all the rewards with that. He has the new simulacrum and so on and so forth. So, not this Lloyd. And for Deep Archimedia, you must, of course, have access to Netracells, which is what is handled by Tagfer. The Netracells have the search pulses, which reset weekly on Sundays at 000 GMT, usual video game reset time for pretty much all games I've played in like the last 3 years. And those 5 search pulses reset each week. Notably, this is the first week you have gotten these refreshed. If you already used these search pulses, you have some new ones that came with the update so that you can do the new content, because you will need 2 of them to do the new content. In addition to that, you need to have max rank with the Cavia. You need to have the Cavia fully ranked up in terms of their syndicate in order to get access to this. And once you have all of that, you can go up here to our other Lloyd, the Necroloid, and get access to the Deep Archimedia. So, with the Deep Archimedia, you are met with this menu. You will click this button, which will have the cost on it, to use 2 search pulses to unlock this for the week. You can do the Deep Archimedia as many times as you want after you have used the 2 search pulses to unlock it for the week. And then each week you'll have to use 2 pulses and get more rewards. You can only get any of the rewards in here 1 time per week, but that is going to let you run this as much as you want in order to get as many rewards as you can. The way the rewards work, we're going to talk about in a second. I want to talk about just like kind of what's going on this menu. So on the right side here, we have our missions, which are, in this case, Exterminate, Alchemy, and then Disruption. And these all have a risk variable, which there's a list of in the patch notes if you want to see. Those will be linked below. And in this case, this is enemies will only take damage if you're near them. Guardian Xmas units can be encountered, including Xmas Necromechs. And then enemy health slowly regenerates. That's what the risk variables are for this first week of these. These all have a harder thing about them at a base level. And then on top of that, on the left side here, we have individual parameters. So we're going to talk about this top section in last, but we have this bottom section, which there are other modifiers that you put on only yourself. Your whole squad doesn't have to have these synced up, and that's very important. So we have lethargic shields, which is more shield recharge delay, not being able to use your operator or drifter, which sucks. And then lose 2 health while moving, but jumping pauses the effect, which is not a big deal. And then lose 2 energy per second for each enemy within 10 meters of you, which is really, really rough, depending on what Warframes you happen to bring. Speaking of what Warframes you happen to bring, up here we have your individual parameters related to your gear. So this is going to be 3 of each different gear section of what you can bring. This was different for me earlier, and I had like Mesa and stuff, but this resets every day. So at that regular daily reset, not the weekly reset, but at the daily reset, each day you'll have a different set of gear to pick from here. So if you are really, really screwed on one day of the week, you could try again tomorrow for your Deep Archimedia to see if you've got something more serviceable. So in this, you pick one of these Warframes, Hydroid Chroma Loki, Simulor Ferox Phage, so on and so forth. You go change your arsenal to match this, and these will light up to tell you you did it correctly. Of note, whenever you have different versions of these weapons, like the Ferox has the Tenet Ferox, those things do work for this, so the better versions of these can be used, thank God, for you to, match things up. For example, I had the new core in here, and I brought the Kuva new core because it's much better, of course. So just use the best version of what you have that is matching. I will note that, there's a lot of weapons that are very underwhelming in here. The Viper and the Aphurus aren't really going to be handling this content very well. So most of the time, you're going to have some rough weapons, and hopefully you have like at least one good one or a Warframe that can make up for it. And that's pretty much what we're going on here, because this content is starting at level 250 to 275, and that's before we get into the Elite Archimedia. Now let's talk about rewards, though, because you're using 2 Netracell search pulses in order to unlock this, so it's got to be better than the rewards you would get from the Netracell in order for us to even consider it to be worth it. So, down here on the bottom, you can see the research points. In this case, obviously with like nothing clicked, you're going to get nothing for your run. You can do it, but you won't get anything. And along the bottom here, we have a few different rewards I want to talk about. First and foremost, this is a silver chest. Silver chests are pretty much one-to-one with a Netracell run. You will get the same distribution of drops as you would get from going and opening a Netracell. So the first 2 rewards are 2 silver chests, which are 2 Netracells, essentially. That is pretty much identical to the 2 search pulses that you would normally do. So right off the bat, if you get the first 2 rewards, you're basically one-to-one with whether you had done Netracells or this. So right away, very equivalent, and there are a lot more rewards beyond this. After that, we have some guaranteed Enshrouded Lanthorns, which really don't matter at all. And then we have a gold chest. Gold chests are basically the same as a Netracell drop table, except you have double the chance on all of the Tau Forge shards and a better chance at all of your legendary melee arcanes. So it is basically just a better version of the Netracell drop tables, and this will, of course, upgrade you from doing 2 search pulses to essentially having a third one that is a better chance to get the better rewards, which is good. And then finally, at the end here, this is Unlock Elite Archimedia if you get 25 points. This is a one-time unlock. This does not reset each week. You only have to do this once, and then you will have permanent access to the Elite Archimedia. In order to get that many points, though, you'll have to turn on all of these. Turning on just all of these and doing whatever loadout you want will get you basically just normal rewards from Netracells. You'll need to match up this as well to get this at least. Each of these is, it tells you what points. They're 1 research point per mission, so each of these is 3 if you match these. So you'd have to restrict yourself to 2 weapons, but you could just do any Warframe and 1 good weapon, and then you'd be able to get this gold one. So even for less experienced players, it's probably worthwhile to do that. But in order to get up to 25, you need to activate everything, which will give you access to Elite Archimedia. Elite Archimedia is where things get actually really, really worthwhile, and it's probably going to be the only thing that you're going to be running every single week that you would want to do this. Elite Archimedia doubles the risk variables that are in all of these missions, so you're going to have another downside baseline on each one of these different missions. It increases the enemy level very significantly from 250 to 275 to 375 to 400, which is pretty considerable. And in addition to that, it has, of course, more rewards. With that, more rewards, we have at 28, we have 20 Vosper. At 31, we have another gold chest, which is the improved odds from Netracell drops. So already that basically makes it a little more than twice as good as the 2 search pulses. And then finally, we have your legendary chest, which can only contain Tau Forged shards or legendary melee arcanes. Those are the only 2 things in them. And this is kind of the end of the track in terms of rewards you're going to want to go for each week, because the final level is 37, which is just 50 Vosper. There is a hidden reward underneath this, which is a cosmetic for your ship, but you'd only ever need to do that once, and if you don't care about 50 Vosper, which is barely any Vosper, there's no need to do this one, which is excellent news. Having done the Archimedia and the Elite Archimedia, I didn't think it was particularly difficult, but I also rolled Mesa for the week. You're going to want to have, you're going to want to use at least a decent Warframe. So if you don't get a decent Warframe up here, then maybe skip it for the week. Or alternatively, if you go and turn all these on, because all of these are worth more points, and up here you match 3 of the 4, you will be at 34. So basically, once you've unlocked the Elite Archimedia, you get 1 gimme, which means you can take 1 weapon in any slot that is actually your preference, or 1 Warframe, and still get to 34 points when you complete these missions. Or alternatively, if you have good stuff up here, you could drop one of these downsides, like the energy exhaustion. You could turn this off and still make it to 34, as everything on this side is all worth equivalent points, so you can make it work however you want. You can just drop one of them in order to still get your legendary chest. My general advice, and what I think is going to be the meta of these going forward, is because you can drop 1, unless you have an assassination mission in here, you're probably just going to take a Warframe that doesn't need a gun. What I mean by that are Warframes like Mesa, Aura, you take like Atlas even, well, Atlas less so, but Baruch, plenty of Warframes don't need a gun to get things done because they can just do it themselves. And those, I think, are going to be majorly the preference up here. Weapons platform frames are going to immediately suffer. But if you get one singular actually good weapon in any of these 3 slots, you could instead opt for a very safe Warframe, such as like Revenant or whatnot, and make that work. Also, if you get a weapons platform frame in your Warframe slot and you can kind of choose whatever weapon, then you can just use them and then use a very good weapon in one of your other slots if you have no good weapons. And that's also going to solve a lot of problems. And that's generally the way I think we're going to approach this week to week. Obviously, at least once you'll want to do the 37 for the unique reward, probably. But other than that, dropping one of these is going to be pretty usual, with rarely dropping one of these if all your options up here, well, 2 of your options up here, a Warframe and a weapon, are good. Now let's come to where this system is flawed. The flaw in this system is if you have one friend, and I know the bar is high. If you have one friend, you and that one friend can have one of you turn on everything and get up to 37 and take all these specific gear pieces and all this stuff. And then you can go and run the series of 3 missions and get all your rewards for 37. But you are the only one that has to adhere to all of these parameters. They can just bring whatever they want and not take any of these lower downsides because they are entirely individual parameters. So you and a friend can carry each other and just do this series of missions twice, playing whatever you want. So all you'd need is the ability to live through the mission, and your friend can do the whole series of missions for you, and you and them could like matchmake in and have 2 other people that you'd probably be carrying as well. As long as you and your friend are both strong enough to solo each of these missions, which, whenever you can bring whatever you want, is not that hard if you use my builds. For that, I don't know if that will stay, and it feels like that's maybe going to get changed. I will say it's very messy probably to change that. Because then you'd have to like not let people play together unless all of these match up and like these match up as well. And then if that wasn't the case, then you wouldn't allow them to matchmake with each other or play together in general, which feels like a huge mess as it stands, as you're already going to divide people between regular Archimedia and elite Archimedia. So it feels like a tough thing to do. I feel as though this probably would have been better executed and you couldn't just kind of subvert the whole thing. If this was kind of a true draft, I guess, of items where you matchmake into a group of 4 people and then there are 12 Warframes for the week, not like changing all the time, but 12 Warframes and weapons of each category for the week that you all get to pick from and then go into the mission. It's kind of weirdly structured in that it's so easily cheesable, but I also really don't mind the ability to just like have someone carry you through it, as it's better than the alternative of not letting like mismatched parameters go into a mission whenever they are like inviting each other and then going in. Because the other option is basically to have people turn everything on and then go into the mission, and hopefully you get someone who has a bunch of parameters turned off or has actually a good loadout rolled for themselves, and then they can just carry you through the mission. It seems like it's rife for toxic behavior without the just like being able to invite a friend to do that instead. So it's in kind of a weird position. With that all being said, I do really like it. It's really fun, like the smooth like transition between Exterminate to Alchemy to Disruption all in a row with like very little loading between it. Feels super good and fun. And the rewards are great. I think the rewards are very, very good. Extremely worth the 2 search pulses. And it also is like a nice variation from just doing 5 Netra cells. And I think it's good. So outside of the potential to cheese it, which I think is fine, and like, you know, probably not something I'm going to do each week, but is an option if my, you know, options here are truly horrid. I think it's good. I think it's good. I think Deep Archimedia is actually like really fun and solid. And yeah, I I think it's really nice. I know a lot of people didn't like the Duviri stuff of like kind of restricting your loadout. And I will say I do think it's weird that unlocking the Elite Archimedia needs every single one turned on when getting all the meaningful rewards out of Elite Archimedia means you can turn one of these off. I feel like that's kind of weird. And it almost feels like this should be 24 because the total amount of points here is 27. So Elite Archimedia unlocking at 24, which means you could do the same thing you would probably option select to do an Elite, which is take one of these and or one of these bottom ones and have that be off, is a bit weird. I could see that being changed to give people like a more congruent experience between regular and Elite Archimedia. But that being said, you're probably only going to do regular Archimedia until you unlock Elite, and then you're never going to turn back and never turn this button off. So yeah, that's what's up with the Deep Archimedia. If you want to see actually a bunch of runs that we did of this on stream, that is over on twitch.tv/Brozime. So go check that out if you want to see the runs I actually did. And also a lot of discussion about, once again, a bunch of really unwarranted nerfs in this update that I can't even understand. But yeah, that's what's going on with Deep Archimedia. I think it's cool. It's unfortunate that it had to be packed in with so much uncool shit. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are enjoying Deep Archimedia and not the other parts of the update. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. And also, of course, thanks as usual to the patrons for supporting the channel, especially the $10 patrons: Alex Parnham, Andrew, Arbiter Daydream, Benuven, Plotomatic, Brutus Salazar, Canolathra, Dylan Dworsky, Ethrain, Havon, James Harstthorne, JC4 Science, John Lobdell, Joshua Adams, Luzanth, Malakix Williams, Mikokel, Minty Ginja, Michta, Nerve, Moxidate, Ruby, Sanyu, Skur, Sharp247, Tamarilic Wastelander, The Coupon of Death, Tomeworm, Victor Palmer, Waifu Wars, Waldad, and Sarah Fear. And of course, thank you to all of the $5 patrons as well. Your support is extremely, extremely appreciated. But yeah, we're about to get the Dante update. Should be an excellent time. Expect tons of videos to be coming about all the changes and new stuff that we're getting in that update, and should be excellent. And then the tier list will hopefully shortly follow.